A warm welcome to all of you to the third episode of the Failure Show. Today we have a person who has been a consistent achiever all his life. His name is Arunabh Saxena. He has recently graduated from IIM Ahmedabad with two gold medals. Before IIM Ahmedabad, he has studied in IIT Bombay. While in IIT Bombay, he was not only an exchange scholar at the Nanyang Tech University in Singapore, he also co founded an NGO named Project Avas that creates audiobooks for visually impaired students in English and four other Indian languages. A very warm welcome, Aruna. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed at this show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pranusha, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
It's a privilege to have you here, Arunabh. I mean, the profile. So, how I got to know about you is you had updated a LinkedIn post recently, wherein you had shared a very poignant moment that you lost your father in August 2019. Despite this personal loss, you have managed to excel in your studies at IIM Ahmedabad. And not just during this period, even during IIT Bombay and even before that, during your senior secondary schooling, you scored 97.2%. And you aced IIT JEE and CAT. So
Not really, but okay.
We are very, we would like to know what makes a person like you. What has been your story?
Okay. Firstly, let me just put things in a little bit of context. Let's not overstate the achievements. They are very nominal achievements. I understand that statistically getting into an IIT and then getting into an IIM is difficult. But if you have to be sort of cognizant of the fact that I have been born into a lot of privilege, and that has allowed me access to educational opportunities that are not open to like a lot of people. So because of that as well, uh, I think I don't like mediocrity, and I try as far as I can not to let that seep into my action or my outcomes. So to the extent that I can, I try and work hard and ensure that I try to put my best foot forward. But beyond that, I think we have to recognize that there's like a fair bit of luck in all of this, and there are a lot of other extraneous factors that you cannot control for. That being said, I think what sets high achieving individuals apart is the fact that whatever is in their control, they try to utilize those factors to the hilt. So I think it's broadly that, yeah, do not settle for mediocrity. Try and push yourself as much as possible. Do not settle. So yeah.
Okay. When you say that you try and push yourself and you don't like mediocrity, there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety involved in this journey. How do you deal with that?
So there's actually been a lot of uncertainty in my life. So I was from a defense background. My father was in the Navy, and I had actually gotten admission into a very prestigious boarding school in Dehradun. It's called the Rashtriya Indian Military College, and that's like a feeder institute to the NDA. So I stayed there for two years, and then I came out. So when I was coming out, also because I sort of recognized at that point that while joining the forces is like a very prestigious career path, and it's an honor to serve your country in that way. It was not for me, but leaving such a prestigious place, coming out, I mean, it was a very hard decision, right? And I was doing well there academically, but the JE is very hard, and there was no guarantee. Now, my parents were like quite surprised and shocked that I would want to leave such a place. Similarly, during IIT JE, which you said that I cracked, not really. I mean, I had expected to do better. So I was going to Bombay, but I was not getting the branch of my choice. Okay. So I was very uncertain about whether I would be able to do well in the first year enough so that I could change my branch and then convert it to something that I wanted to do. And then finally, even when I was coming to IIM Ahmedabad, it was highly uncertain. I joined. It was almost as if I was forced to join because I wanted something to do. I didn't want a gap in my resume, so I wanted something to do. But I used to actually make fun of a lot of my engineering batchmates who were very much into finance and who were wanted
Okay.
to get and do an MBA, and like a professor of mine used to say कि soap बेचने जा रहे हैं जबकि research करना चाहिए.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I had lot of those biases. So it was very uncertain. I came with a very entrenched attitude that this is not worth my while, but I'm being forced to do it anyway. I am glad that I didn't let that eclipse my journey here. See, uncertainty is always there, but I think it's a matter of calculating the probability that uh, I think everyone gets a rough estimate of what their capabilities are, how much you can push yourself, and what is the task in front of you, how much is it demanding. Uh, then see, I mean, of course, there's no 100% guarantee ever, but if the odds are aligning in your favor, then I think you should always push, right? There was of course the chance that I would leave RIMC and then I would turn out to be not mediocre, but I would not achieve the kind of success in engineering as I could have in the forces. Similarly, in Bombay, I could have gotten lost in the crowd. Similarly, here, I could have been just another graduate. But if you think you can do it, you should push ahead in spite of the uncertainty, right? More the uncertainty, the higher the probability that you get an outsized outcome. So the rewards are also correspond. So if you take risk, you will get reward, I feel. So I mean, uncertainty should be embraced and it should be studied to see how much you can tide over it. And of course, a lot of it is luck, like I mentioned before. But within the realm of that, it should be possible to, disregard uncertainty. It's fine. It'll always be there in the background.
Okay. So was this your approach even when you were preparing for IIT JE? Because that age, I mean, at the age of 17 and 18, we are very young to grasp all of this.
Yeah. See, I'd left something very nice to come out, and it was like a do or die situation for me.
Okay.
I really felt that I had to do this to tell myself that I had not made a huge mistake. Uh, and I had actually seen a couple of seniors who had left from there either in 2 years, or they had stayed till 12th standard and then taken a drop year and then taken the JE and cracked it. So I knew it was possible, and I knew within myself that if I worked hard enough, I would be able to do it. Um, and yeah, I think the JE is not as much about intelligence. Unless you want to get a top 50 rank, then you need a little bit of innate intelligence. It's hard to get. It's hard to create. You have to be, I think, born with it. But I think that if you put your mind to it and you are like 100% determined that you have to do this, you will do it. So I mean, I had friends in IIT who used to come from those Andhra schools where you used to study from sixth standard and stuff. And I still remember one of my neighbors was like a top 10 ranker, and he told me how they were just groomed and conditioned to become like problem solving machines. So, okay, maybe that's a bit extreme, but it should be, I mean, if you put your mind to it, and I did, because I felt that I had burned all my bridges. I didn't have anything else to do. I really felt like I had to focus. And quite honestly, this is, I think, a personal trait. I am able to focus for like a decent period of time without getting distracted. So nowadays, I see that time period coming down because of technology, because I have my mobile and laptop. But at that time, in 2012, it had still not caught on. I had just one small Nokia phone to, tell my mom ki coaching ho gayi, I'm coming home. So I
Yeah.
never got caught into all of that. So without technology, it was easy to be focused on the JE, I felt.
Okay.
Uh, and I also think, my father was working in the Adani group at that time, and he was posted in Mundra, which is this huge port on the coast of Gujarat. And he was handling the dredging operations there, and he was posted there. And my mom and me were in Ahmedabad, and I saw my mom like, you know, at her age, there was no reason why she should have been separated from her husband and why she should have to put up with my preparation. But I saw her grinding it out with me, so I just felt that I owed this to them also. Uh, and yeah, I just felt that this was the least I could. I've always been sort of motivated to do well so that my parents feel happy that
Okay.
I've done well. So that's also one important motivational factor. So these two things, the fact that I left something very important and the fact that I saw my parents sacrificing stuff for me, I felt that I had to do it. So yeah, just got down to doing it.
Okay. So during this journey of yours, right from your secondary schooling till now,
Yeah.
can you talk about some significant failures or hurdles that you had to overcome, which you think contributed to making you, contributed to you evolving as an individual?
Uh, yeah. So I mean, take the JE itself, right? So. Or even before that, actually, at RMC, the reason why I realized that I was not cut out for all of this was because I was not as good at the physical stuff as like others. So it was like a mini NDA for kids in the age of the eighth standard and above, right? So
Okay.
I used to see my friends, people from the northeast, people from the south. It was like a mini India there, right? And everyone could effortlessly do pull-ups, and like everyone was super fit, and everyone became that eventually, even if you were not in the beginning. So when I joined, I was like this super fat kid. I lost a lot of weight, but even then, I was never as good in the physical stuff as like a lot of my friends. And I realized that I was enjoying the mental stuff that I was doing there way more than I was enjoying the physical stuff. So I I wouldn't call it a failure exactly, but it was I sort of understood that that was not the place for me. So I came out. Then I prepared for the JE very hard, right? So I think when I in the initial parts of the JE preparation, I was doing very well in my coaching class. Like I used to top it and stuff. But then somewhere around the end of 11th standard and the beginning of 12th, I think I lost a little bit of momentum. I don't know why. I think I sort of got into a rut with my preparation, and eventually I did not do that well in the advanced examination. I was expecting like a rank in the top 200 or top 100 ambitiously, but I
Okay.
got a final rank of 1288, right? Just not even a three-digit rank. So I mean, I know this sounds like very snooty or something to say that this is a failure, but at that stage when you have taken out 2 years of your life to do
Yeah.
this, and I saw I saw some of my friends from my coaching go ahead of me in 12th standard. Like they started beating me in all the tests. Then I saw in the final day, even the people who never used to beat me in any test getting like top 200, top 300 ranks. And I was like, what did I do wrong? I mean, I must have messed up massively, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so that was like a huge shock for me, right? And then you join IIT Bombay and you get into chemical. I got into chemical engineering, and you look at the people around you who are in electrical engineering, who are in CS, and their JE rank. Everyone, and it's very shallow and it's actually quite immature at that age, but everyone loves talking about their JE ranks. Okay, so everyone gets to know very quickly
Yeah.
who has what JE ranks, and like the top 100 JE ranks are sort of elevated to some godlike status. So
Yeah.
people from the other branches sort of feel this like they've done this massive compromise. You're coming here for the institute and the city, you're not coming here for the engineering itself.
Okay.
That really happens only in computer science and electrical engineering to some extent, maybe mechanical, but definitely not below that. So I used to feel very weird about that kind of vibe, and I felt like that was a really dark phase. I felt. I mean, I thought I failed horribly, and then I came here, and then so the first year was crucial for me because I took the calculated decision that let's go to Bombay instead of going to say Kharagpur or Roorkee or some other place
Hmm.
where I was getting a better branch. Because
Okay.
I felt that I could. So Bombay has the option that if you do well in the first year, you'll be able to convert your branch to some other higher rank branch, right? So
Okay.
and a lot of people tell you that statistically, everyone comes here. It's very hard to do it. And I mean, in the first year, I lost. I mean, I actually didn't do well even in the first semester. I mean, I did not do well. I mean, like I did very horribly in the programming course. I did very horribly in the one of the chemistry courses, and I don't know. I was like, I'm failing on one thing after the other, one thing after the. What's going on? What's wrong with me? Have I suddenly become dumb or something? I don't know. But then in the second semester, I don't know, I just had a talk with my father one day, and he's sort of good at motivating me. So he just told me, son, just sit down, start putting your nose to the grindstone, start working hard. So I did that. I shook off the negativity, and then that semester I sort of turned it around. I mean, I did well, and I did so well that I sort of compensated for the horrible first semester performance. So overall,
Okay.
I managed to scrape through for the branch change, but even then, it wasn't enough to get into computer science. It was good enough to get into electrical, which is also a very great branch. But even there, it wasn't good enough to get into the 4-year program, right? Everyone wants to get
Yeah.
into the 4-year B.Tech program. I got into the 5-year dual degree program, right?
Okay.
So if you look at the JE ranks, that's somewhere between 200 to 300. If you get it, you get the electrical dual program. Now, so then I sort of felt that, this is maybe my real intelligence, this is my real standing. If things would have
Okay.
gone well, maybe I would have been between 200 to 300. But uh, so I felt that even though I had done well, finally I still had failed. But I guess that's not very good thinking. Uh,
Hmm.
it paralyzed me for a long time. This feeling of having failed, and feeling of being an imposter, where everyone around me was quite smart. But then
Yeah.
in my department, I sort of told myself that I'll work hard, and I'll do what it takes. So by the time I graduated, I had a very good CGPA. And while I did not graduate the first or second or third of either the BTech or the dual degree program, I was in the top five. So I was quite happy with my performance. But there was always that, lingering regret that I did not, I did not maximize my stay at IIT, because I let this failure, that feeling of having failed, paralyze me for most of my first, and even to some extent in the second year. So it took me till third year to finally shed it and let it go, that, it's okay, man, like one exam does not determine your intelligence, and it's okay, it's fine, forgive yourself, move on. So but when I
Okay.
did that, I saw things changing.
Okay.
Similarly, you'll be very surprised when I came to the campus. I mean, I can tell myself that the first term was very horrible for me because I was spending most of my time in the hospital. I used to sort of go back and forth.
Yeah.
Uh, but I did very horribly in the accounting course, which is like, it's called FRA. It's
Yeah.
very, it's,
I've heard about that.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a dreaded course for
Yeah.
all non-CA and non-commerce people.
Yeah.
And everyone, sort of all my engineers friends who had done the 4-year program and gone there before me, who I thought was smart, they said that it's very logical, you'll easily be able to do well in it, because uh, engineers who understand concepts will be able to just kill it. And I got smashed in that. I was And
Okay.
this was very bad for me, because I had gotten into the
Yeah.
finance club and I wanted to do a summer internship in finance. And if you don't know accounting, you can't speak the language of finance, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, shit, yeah, I think I've horribly messed up.
Okay.
There's no way I can get an investment banking or private equity internship. I can't even do basic accounting. Like, I remember out of 400 people, my rank was some 290 or 300 in that. So I did very
Okay.
horribly.
Okay.
Took a lot of time to recover from that also, but eventually I did. So now I can do a bit of accounting.
Yeah, it's so as an outsider who is neither say I'm not an engineer, or for example, there might be some viewers who are engineers but not from IITs, or
Hmm.
who might be MBAs and not from IIMs.
Hmm.
When they look at your profile, they would be in awe of your profile, like if they check your LinkedIn. But now it's surprising to hear the inside stories which you just now
Yeah, yeah,
shared with us.
totally. I mean, on LinkedIn and on resumes, if those were the only truth, uh, only forms of truth in the world, and everyone is the next Elon Musk, everyone is the next, I don't know, great academician. It's really not true. Everyone fibs a lot in their resumes, uh, and the
Yeah.
LinkedIn profiles is just like, I don't know. I think it's becoming a less of a platform for people to connect for business, more of a platform for people to brag about their credentials. I'm guilty of the same.
Yeah,
So
that's so
yeah.
true. So, what do you think about this whole culture that we have, that we always keep comparing ourselves with people we think are more successful than ourselves, and we keep feeling that we are failures?
See, again, it's quite paralyzing. I feel a little bit of it is good. because it helps to remove any cockiness that you have. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we've all heard this quote, but at IIT, though, it used to be specifically true that if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the
Yeah.
washroom, I guess. Uh, but so I met a lot of people there who were super smart and like, so a couple of people there were like, let's face it, they were geniuses, right? So, but
Yeah.
if you look at them and you keep getting demotivated that, hey, I don't have the same gifts in life, then that's not the way you have to, that's not the way to live life, man. I mean, a little bit of it is good so that every time you think that you're too smart or you're too intelligent, you look around and you realize that there's someone who's better than you. So it's good to stay grounded because of this, but too much of it and you will start getting paralyzed because you will feel that nothing you do is good enough and that you're doomed to fail anyway, so why even
Yeah.
try? And that happened with me a lot in the first year, and
Okay.
it affected me. So I would try and tell Esa that, see, if being from an IIT and being from an IIM were the only barometers of success in this country, that's really not true. You look at all these 14, 15 unicorns started in the last, I don't know, couple of months. You look at their founders, many of them are not from the IITs or the IIMs.
Hmm.
You look at the big businessmen, you look at the best politicians, you look at the best sports persons, best actors, actresses, none of them. I mean, by any stretch of imagination, it is not true that being from an IIT or an IIM is a barometer for success. It's not. It's just a ticket to a slightly more comfortable life with a higher
Okay.
probability. That's it. So I don't think people should look at that and like feel discouraged or demotivated. Not at all. These
Okay.
are just, these are just degrees and titles. They have little meaning in the real world.
Okay. Do you have any tips or suggestions for students who might be preparing for JEE and CAT?
um, See, I didn't do very well in the JE, so I'm not the best person to be giving
Oh, you
advice.
did. I mean, you
Not
did
really.
very well.
I would just say, it's a matter of working hard, and then once you've gotten your basics right, broadly correct, then it's a matter of working smart. You need to identify patterns in the paper. You need to identify what the whole paper is about. It sounds a
Okay.
little philosophical, but once you get the big picture of the paper wired into your head,
Hmm.
you can just solve things faster. It's
Okay.
like looking at a chess game, and instead of, you know, in a position, instead of evaluating a piece by piece, in a piece by piece fashion, you are able to see the whole big picture. You're able to see what's happening on the board. Similarly, I think it's the same for every exam, big exam like this, JEE, CAT, UPSC, the medical exams. You
Yeah.
should be able to get a picture of what the examiner is trying to, test you on. Once you get that big picture wired in your head, you'll do very well. I think for CAT, to be honest, is a slightly simpler exam than the JEE. It's also very
Okay.
skewed towards the engineers. You're sort of primed to do well because two sections out of three are sort of built for engineers to do well in.
Okay.
Um, So, I mean, I did not prepare much for CAT as such. I just solved a lot of papers. I used to go for like the weekly test session, test series, and I used to just keep solving and just looking at the answer keys and then figuring out, oh, okay, this is how you crack this question. Okay, got it. That's
Okay.
about it. And I just kept iterating. So CAT would probably be like that. J is, like I said, get the big picture correct.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. And lastly, as I already mentioned, you have been a consistent topper. Do you have any parting uh, tips or any message that you would like to give, not just engineering or MBA students, anyone who is looking to achieve this so-called success and who is trying to, avoid the mediocrity which you spoke about?
Again, I've just been successful in very simulated environments where, there's no concept of real world competition. Abhi, when I step into the real world and work, then maybe this question is more relevant 10 years down the line. Maybe, I, I don't know. See, uh, um, I I mean, success has many definitions. I know this sounds very, beating around the bush, but it has many definitions.
Yeah.
And if you want academic success, in the sense that you want to know how to do well in these kind of institutes, it's quite simple. You just have to be the last man standing. So you just have to keep working hard, and you have to keep pushing, right?
Okay.
I think one lesson that I have, one thing that I feel I have, which sort of helps me, is that I don't settle. Even if I have a good thing, I'll always try and scout for the next big opportunity. Because I remember even after I did my internship, it was with a big Canadian private equity firm. It's called
Okay.
Brookfield. I got a PPO from there. Uh, and it was a great firm in every respect, right? I was getting paid a lot. It was a great team, like really nice. They looked after me a lot.
Okay.
uh, but I mean, I really thought about it. Do I want to get into infrastructure so early? And I realized that I wanted to try more things. So I mean, it was very hard, but I said no to the PPO, even though it was in Mumbai. Then I kept searching. Finally, I got an opportunity that, to my mind, is a little superior in terms of the opportunities it will unlock, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, I think not agreeing to settle too early, fighting till the end. I think that is a good thing to have, whether you win or you lose, right? So it could have gone sideways. I could have been left without a job also, but I think pushing continuously is a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen like a fair bit of personal loss also now in my life.
Yeah.
um I think that is literally the only lesson that I took away from all of this, that things are very random, unfortunate. So it's like, before such a thing happens to you yourself, you will not be able to appreciate how many other people in the crowd have also gone through your experience, right? So once that thing happened to me, so many of my batchmates, like 5 6 of them, came up to me, and they said that, hey, we understand your loss because we have gone through it as well. And then two of my good friends later went through the exact same experience. So
Okay.
uh, things are random. Failures are fairly random, and you should fail quite a bit, right? Because then you'll appreciate your successes, and once you fail, you sort of get more mature. uh, so things are random, failures are random, but you have to keep fighting. If you give up, then yeah, capitulated, and that's one way of living life, but maybe it's not the best way to live it. So I would say keep fighting, I guess. That's literally the only way. We are defined by our struggles, so I think we should keep struggling. Very
Yeah.
philosophical, right? Sorry
No,
for this.
it's no, it was needed, I feel. Uh, Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your perspectives with
Thank
us,
you so
Ramesh.
much, Janusha. It was an honor to be here.
Thank you.